This is the LOZAYI vacuum sealer machine. Let's take it out of the box. In the box, they give you the user manual, power cord of course, standard US plug to a figure 8 style. They give you a vacuum sealer hose with adapters. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Here is the machine itself. There's 4 buttons on there, which I'll go over. And they also give you 15 vacuum sealer bags. That's just to get you started, of course. There are many other bags available for sale. You can find tons of them available, all different brands and sizes on Amazon or anywhere else you like. Maybe even in a grocery store you can find them. And you can find them pre-made. So you just put your stuff in, seal it up, and go. Or you can also buy rolls where you would make your own bag, and you can make that really, literally as big as you wanted. So let's talk a little bit about what this is and what it does. When you buy food, oftentimes you either will have leftovers or maybe you bought too much. Maybe there was a really good sale on something and you got a great price on it, but now you have too much and you need to store it. Now, you can put meat in the fridge. It'll stay there for about 3 days or so without any real problem. But wouldn't it be nice if maybe you just needed a few extra days? Maybe 10 days? Well, with a vacuum sealer machine, you can do that. And the reason why is because air is the enemy of freshness. The air is what oxidizes the meat and turns it from red to sort of a brownish, where it doesn't look quite as appetizing. And it can also start to spoil. The same goes for fruits, especially something like an avocado, where that turns brown very quickly, sort of like a banana would. Same kind of idea. You can vacuum seal that stuff just to keep it in the fridge. Now, if you wanted to put it in the freezer, well, the big problem that we all have with freezers is freezer burn, and that's where you get ice crystals on top of the stuff, and it just doesn't taste as good as it should have. It's safe to eat. That's not a problem as long as it stayed frozen, but it doesn't taste the same. This is going to eliminate that kind of problem because by vacuum sealing it, you get the air out and the humidity out of there, and that way when you freeze it, you're not going to get freezer burn on there, so it's going to be just as fresh when you open it up later. So this will extend the time you can keep foods in the fridge or in the freezer. Another great thing is like buying in bulk. You might find at one of those warehouse clubs a big block of cheese, and you say, oh, I'm going to use that, but obviously for one dinner, if you're making, let's say, tacos or something like that, you know, there's only so much you're going to eat in one sitting. So what you can do is cut off a piece of what you need and vacuum seal the rest so it'll be nice and fresh for you next time. Over here is the vacuum hose, and these little adapters fit on the hose here, and that can be used with other devices such as a wine bottle stopper, where it'll take the air out and keep the wine fresher longer. And they also have containers or canisters that you can buy where this hose will come into play also, so you can suck the air out of that and keep that fresh as well. So taking a quick look at the machine, your power cord just plugs in the back there. You got a bunch of red lights there until you go and turn the unit on. Here's the inside here. You have a channel right here with a connection. That connection can be used for one of these guys right here, where that'll fit in. And it actually goes this way, like that, in there, and then the hose would fit on that. Otherwise, you'd put your bag in. So you have a sealer strip here. This is a heating element that gets hot. And in here is the vacuum chamber. Now it's deep like this. You see it's a well. So that way if you seal stuff that has moisture in it, that can be sucked into the machine. And it just goes in the channel here, but all the vacuum is done through that hole right there so it doesn't get into the machine and clog up the works in that. There's a nice sealing strip right here, and what you do is you push down on each side like that with your bag in there and seal it. Now for the buttons here, it's very easy to operate. You have your power button here. You press that, it turns blue. So red just means like standby, and blue means it's on and ready. And then what you could do is you could select the different types of food. You have dry and wet, and you can see how you can select that just like that. What that does is on wet, it will extend the vacuum time to pull some of the moisture out and get a very good vacuum seal on it to help prevent against freezer burn or other spoilage, stuff like that. Dry would be, you can put, let's say, cereal or something like that, maybe potato chips in a bag, and you really don't want that much vacuum pulled on it because, like potato chips, for example, is just going to crush them. But cereal, on the other hand, you can definitely pull a lot of air out of there, but if it sucks too hard, it'll crunch the cereal down and then it's no good. So by setting that to the dry mode, it will shorten the vacuum time on that to help prevent against crushing that. So what I'm going to do now is I have some plastic items that I'm actually going to seal in a bag, and later I have a nice piece of salmon that I'm going to seal so you can see how it really works. But I want to show you the dry sealing feature first. So let me do that now. So I've taken one of the bags, this is the size of it, and these are some parts to a steamer. Obviously it's not food, but you'll get an idea how the vacuum on it works and how the machine works. And again, like I said, I'll show you some real food a little bit later in this presentation. So we're going to set this over to the dry mode, just like that. We open the machine up, and we're going to stick the bag in here like that. You just want it so the edge of the bag is in the channel. Doesn't matter if it's left or right, anything like that, just get it in there. And then you're going to go ahead and close it up. So that looks pretty good there. And I just want to get everything lined up nicely to close it and snap down on both sides. It's also good practice to hold down the sides as you go ahead and seal it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hit the vac seal button right here, and I'm going to just move the camera here so you can see the vacuum pulled on these items. Now remember, this is on the dry mode. And once it senses that it can't pull any more air, it's going to go ahead and seal the bag while the vacuum is still running. And the light here just went red, so that means it's done. We can pull that out, and now you see it's pulled a very tight vacuum on there, just like that. So if you had cereal in this bag or something, that would be great. You also can do another thing with this. Let's say you open a bag of potato chips. Now, I know nobody can eat just one, but you shouldn't eat the whole bag. What you can do, however, is you can take that potato chip bag, and if you imagine this were it, you can put the actual potato chip bag in the machine like this and close it up, and then you would choose the no vacuum option. So you just do the seal option. You can kind of squeeze out whatever air you want, because if you did the vacuum, it's going to pull a vacuum like this and turn your chips to dust. So that wouldn't be good. But you can then seal the bag, preventing air from getting in, because otherwise, you know what you do. You know, you just take the bag and you roll it up. They have chip clips in that, but it just never works right. And then the thing kind of unravels and air gets in and that's that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another bag, and I'm going to put a nice piece of salmon in there, and we're going to vacuum seal that. And by the way, these bags are reusable, so I'm just going to cut this open here. So we'll just snip that open. And now our bag is open. I didn't cut it all the way. There we are. So now you can retrieve whatever's in there like that. And of course, with it sealed in there, it's also waterproof, which is nice. But a bag of chips like that, you can now go ahead and put that in and do a no vacuum seal. And that way you can just seal that out. So now let's get the salmon and we'll seal that up. So here's the piece of salmon. And what I did was I bought a whole big one here. This was the price tag from it. It was $21.84 at $7.69 a pound, 2.84 pounds. So that was quite a big piece of salmon there. I cut this into fourths, and you can go rough with measurements. If you just want to divide that weight by 4, you can get an idea of that. Let's just say, for example, that you froze the whole thing. You wanted to repack it from the store. You can actually just go ahead and put the label right in there and have it seal the label in there, so you also know how much it actually weighs for when you're ready to actually use it. So I'll just do that to show you here. Now I've already put the machine into the wet sealing mode, or wet food mode, which this is, obviously. It's salmon. So I'm going to get the bag in the machine, close it up. There we go. And I'm just going to move the camera down just a tad. And now we're going to go ahead and seal this. Now you see that wave going up there, that's the liquid from the fish. But that's not a problem at all because it's going to seal it. And it's done. Pop that open, and that is perfectly sealed right there. You can see the vacuum drawn on that. And that means that if I were to put this in the fridge, I'm going to easily get 7 to 10 days out of this without having to worry about it. And if I wanted to freeze it, then I could go ahead and put that in the freezer and not have to worry about freezer burn. So it does an excellent job all around. You can see how it just pulled that vacuum on there real nice like that. So you can package meats and save them. And this also works for fruits, vegetables, and whatever else have you. Vacuum sealing is also great if you do any sous vide cooking, where basically you immerse this in a water bath. You can keep it sealed in here, and the water is heated to a certain temperature, which will cook the fish perfectly to that temperature and hold it there so it can't possibly overcook. And of course you could do that with other meats and things like that as well. So if you're into sous vide cooking, you can certainly use this for that as well, and it would certainly work very, very well because you don't want the water getting in there. This way you preserve all of the nice natural juices and stuff like that in here for the best flavor later on. So once again, this was the LOZAYI vacuum sealer machine. I've owned vacuum sealers in the past. They work absolutely fantastic. When I go to the store, I buy chicken breast, real cheap in what they call a family pack, so it's got like 4 or 5, even 6 pounds in there, and I can't eat all that in one sitting, obviously. So I take at least half of it, pack that up in one of the vacuum sealer bags, seal it, and freeze it. And oftentimes your microwave will have an auto defrost feature. You just punch in the weight of it, and it will defrost it perfectly for you, and it'll be just as good as the day you bought it. So an excellent option for food preservation, the LOZAYI vacuum sealer machine. If you'd like to purchase this item, I'll leave a link in the video description where you can find it available for sale on Amazon. Thanks for watching. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.